Welcome back. Once again, I'm Scott Sturgeon with the Practice Management Group here at Mariner Wealth Advisors. And my guest for this segment is David Stouffer, Managing Director of Retirement Planning Solutions here at Mariner Wealth Advisors. David, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. Looking forward to talking about retirement plans.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in that same vein, let's dive right in. Do you want to maybe just give kind of a quick overview of your group, kind of what the retirement group's kind of all about?
Yeah. So Retirement Plan Solutions is made up of 16 people on our team. We have advisors, we have account execs, and then we'll also have the support from Sarah Swadley and Houston McConnell on the investment team. So they support us in the investment committee decisions for the retirement plans.
So what are some just example types of clients you guys deal with on a regular basis?
Our clients range from small doctor's practices with just 4 or 5 employees all the way up to manufacturing companies with 4,000 employees and $1 billion in assets. So it's quite a range of the types of business we work with. From the wealth advisor standpoint, most of the wealth advisors we work with, they work with doctors or law firms or small business owners. So most of those plans are smaller plans where you can get more creative than just a typical 401k plan.
Makes sense. So, just if you wouldn't mind just kind of walking us through a sample scenario or, if I'm a wealth advisor, let's say I do have a physician's practice I work with or a small business or what have you, what is the kind of interaction that advisor or their wealth team might expect to have with a member of your team?
Yeah. So I think the first thing to understand, and maybe some question you might want to ask your clients, is understand that ERISA plans have completely different rules than your traditional wealth management business. As a fiduciary, which we are a fiduciary to all of our plans, and it's even different than a fiduciary on the wealth side, the Department of Labor governs these plans, and there's some strict rules on what has to happen. So one of the things you would want to ask if you have a client that maybe has a retirement plan, ask if their current advisor takes on fiduciary liability for the investment decisions that they make. That can be a big difference. It used to be a huge difference. Now more and more advisors are taking that liability. But the next thing is I would ask, how does the plan sponsor monitor the advisor? So if you're a wealth client, the client can do whatever analysis they want to decide if they want to work with us and how on staying ongoing. But when you're a plan sponsor, you're responsible for all your employees as well. And in that situation, they have a duty to monitor under the Department of Labor. And so you have to monitor all your vendors. As an advisor, we're one of the vendors. So most plan sponsors have no idea how to monitor an advisor like ourselves and if we're doing things properly. So we partake in an audit every year from an organization called CFIX, Center for Fiduciary Excellence. And it's 400 questions. It's a lot of Q&A back and forth. And they spend a day at our company, meeting with our team, understanding their investment processes, and everything we do for the client. We get a certificate that shows we do things the right way. So that fulfills the plan sponsor's duty to monitor. So if they hire us, we give them a copy of that certificate. So if they're ever questioned on how they monitor us, a third party does it.
Makes sense. So if they're maybe an advisor has their CFP, CFEX might kind of be the equivalent of that for a retirement group, kind of showcasing that knowledge. Obviously, a lot of due diligence and expertise that goes into.
That's exactly right. They've taken the ISO 1911 audit standards and applied those to the Department of Labor's requirements for fiduciary and developed an entire audit package.
A couple more moving parts than your standard IRA, maybe.
Yes, a little more complex.
Yes. David, what are, let's say I am an advisor, I'm meeting with a client or a prospect or what have you. What do you think are some good types of questions that advisors can be asking those prospects? Let's say it's, a CFO of a small business or a physician who's has a partnership or what have you. What are some general opening questions that advisor might be beneficial for them to ask as it relates to retirement plans of their business?
Well, in addition to asking if their advisor takes fiduciary liability, in addition to asking them how they monitor that advisor, maybe something else is how do they measure the success of the plan? As individuals, we all measure the success of our, how we're doing financially, and you probably have goals of how much net worth you need to have at a certain age, and are you on track to retire with the way you want? But the plan sponsor should have some of those goals for all their employees and track that. A lot of plan sponsors don't do that. So they have a plan with an advisor, they set it up, they just put in some basic provisions, and then it's like, well, as long as we don't have any complaints, things must be good. But what we want to do is we set metrics for our clients and we monitor those and make sure that we're on track. And whether it's getting higher participation because enough people aren't saving, or if it's making sure they're saving enough money. So there's lots of different things we can look at. And, one of the most common things we look at is retirement income replacement ratio. And we can do that as a group and then break it down to segments of the company and report that back. And then the employer can decide, okay, am I happy with where my employees are? Or are they going to be able to retire with dignity? Because most employers want their employees to be able to retire with dignity.
Sure.
And if they're not on track, we can help, maybe it's more education, maybe it's different plan design, maybe it's increasing the match. Lots of different things a plan sponsor can do to achieve that. We want to make sure we understand their goals and then have something to benchmark ourselves to.
I know you'd posited an example to me in one of our prior meetings about how literally just changing the percentage of match as opposed to just a whole, let's just say 5%, but changing that to, I think you phrased it like, 50% on the first 10% or something to that effect. And it had a pretty significant impact on plan participation.
Yes, we recently had a client that they had a match of dollar for dollar up to 3%. That's a very rich match, and the employees liked it. The problem was every employee saved exactly 3% because that's all they needed to save to get the match. Rather than, and we know that most people, employee deferrals and employer match combined should probably be closer to 10 or 15%. So we encourage them to change the match from dollar for dollar to 3% to 50 cents on the dollar to 6%. The plan sponsor still spends the same 3% of salary, but for the employees to get the full amount, they put in 6%. Employees will almost always rise the level of expectation. So they all moved up, 97% moved up to the 6%, and now they have 9% going their paycheck versus just 6%. We're getting close to where they need to be.
I think at least in my book, would probably classify that as a win, for your team, for the business as well. Do you maybe have other examples of kind of maybe where you've partnered with an advisor or a wealth team to reach a successful outcome for a client?
Yeah, we recently had an advisor brought us one of their clients, and the individual was making about $500,000 a year and was maxing out their 401k, put in the $19,000 as a deferral and another $6,000 in catch up because they were over 50, and they had 3 employees that they were getting a little bit of money to. The owner wanted to save a lot more. We were able to set up a profit sharing plan with the 401k and also attach a cash balance plan to it. And this year's deferral, the employer can put away $274,200 into the 3 plans combined, and split between 3 employees, it cost him another $22,000. So it cost him $22,000 to get $274,000 into his pocket. It's an easy win because otherwise that money go to Uncle Sam. And
right.
If you ask an employer, would you rather give it to your employees or Uncle Sam? They're usually going to choose their employees. So we can design that to improve it.
Nice tax perk there.
Yes.
For sure. David, one of the questions we've gotten from time to time, we had Tom Tilley in to kind of give a rundown on what Mariner Capital Advisors is all about. Do you ever see overlap in the types of clients that you deal with, whether it's Mariner Capital Advisors or the tax group or what have you?
There's always overlap. Some of the more recent examples, one of our advisors, Mark Nothnagel, had a 401k client that was looking to sell his business. We got in a little bit late, so we weren't able to refer to Tom and his group. However, when they did sell the business, they got $18 million, and we're able to bring them in and turn them into a wealth management client and capture that dollar. So those are big. Also, it's very often when we go through our investment monitoring process and our due diligence process, whether it's with an investment committee at the plan sponsor level or just some of the employees, and they understand how we work and they like that we have a serious method in how we do things. They'll ask about our capabilities on the wealth side, and we refer a lot of business over there. And of course, a lot of wealth advisors have brought their clients to us that own a small business or CFO of a business or HR director of a business. So, our main contacts are the owner, the CFO, or the HR director. So if you have clients that wealth clients that fit in those or contacts that fit those are the types of people we're normally working with.
That makes a lot of sense. David, one question I would ask as well, do you generally get, is there types of questions you tend to get from advisors over time, or does it run the full gamut from day to day, or any specific questions you would maybe want to address or get out in front of?
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is making sure they understand ERISA governed plans versus non-ERISA governed plans. So your simple IRAs and simple 401ks, those are non-ERISA plans. You don't need the third-party fiduciary. There's not as much obligation to the plan sponsor because they are the benefactor of those plans. It's when you start having employees, even 2-3 employees, the entire world changed. The governance changes. The due diligence process has to change, and it's more strict. You have to have minutes of your meetings. You have to document everything you do, and there's a lot more legal liability when you bring employees in. So That's probably the biggest thing is, we can't add a lot of value on a simple plan or IRAs and things like that. It's when it becomes an ERISA plan governed by the Department of Labor that you can really, help your client if they own a business, and you can help yourself and your employees and the employees by bringing us in.
The more moving parts, the better.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like at the end of the day. David, what's a good way to get a hold of you or your group, or if advisors are looking to just ask follow-up questions or that sort of thing?
Well, you can always reach out to me and start. Every office has been assigned one of our advisors, whether it's Thomas Hardy in Tulsa or Mark Nothnagel or Tim Duncan, Jack Fletcher, James Tinsley, or myself here. We've all been assigned to a different office, so everyone should know who their person is. If not, you can just get on the website and find it. You can always email me, and we'll get you to the right person, because I do a lot of the triage at first to understand what the prospect is and what the opportunity is, and then put the right person with it. Because we have some people that are great with cash balance plans, others that are great with not-for-profits. Some have expertise in certain industries like hospital industry and things like that are a little bit unique, and we can help you match up the right person.
David, thank you again so much for taking the time to stop by. I know you mentioned the website Workplace is a really great resource to looking at the org chart, to pulling up David and the members of his team. Always open for questions and there to help advisors at the end of the day. So David, again, can't thank you enough. And for advisors, I hope to work with you soon.
Thank you. Look forward to work with you.